Hello and welcome back to my channel. I am Mercedes and this is the Frugal Life with Mercedes. So today we are going to talk about the need to see beyond ourselves and our experience. I hear a lot of fellow millennials talk about people from other generations specifically and bring that up, that because things were done a certain way when other people were our same age doesn't mean that that's what's really going on. And I think, I've talked about this before, there is a battle of the generations, and I have discussed it, and, it is what it is at this point. I don't have an issue with any other generation. I have had negative encounters with people of my own age, people older than me, people younger than me, for the same reason. We tend to see things through a very narrow scope. Even the most open-minded, compassionate people can still have a difficult time seeing things beyond their scope of understanding. I have had conversations with people that are some of the nicest people you'd ever meet, but they had a very narrow view on poverty or education or marriage or women's rights or, different things like that, because they're basing it off their experience. And of course, we as people do base things like our opinions off of experiences. So if let's say you married your high school sweetheart, you've only ever kissed them, they're a wonderful human being, they are supportive and loyal and faithful, and you guys are a true partnership and make every decision together, and you're together for 50 years. Okay, that is awesome. But that is your experience versus somebody else that maybe had a difficult time finding the right person. They thought they found the right person and that person ended up being a disaster for whatever reason. That doesn't mean that the second person didn't try hard enough or chose wrong, because there's so many factors. Like, I've discussed this before too, for me personally, my life experience is 100% unique. Your life experience is 100% unique. So the way we interpret red flags or green flags or sarcasm or even mistreatment is going to be different person to person based off life experiences. I have met people that basically had zero life experience, and that is not based off age. I've known people that were young and had more life experience than somebody that was 70. And I know you're probably thinking, well, how is that possible? Because if somebody's life has been like in a box, they were protected by their parents and then protected by their spouse and didn't see the ugly, gritty parts, somebody who maybe their parents were junkies or alcoholics, or they were raised in some sort of, foster care system that wasn't good, wasn't safe, and they've experienced gritty from birth essentially, their outcome on who they are as a person is completely different than it would be if they had two parents that were functioning members of society and took good care of them and they had advantages. But why is it important to look outside of that? Because especially when you're talking about possible political situations or environmental situations, or even just compassion for your fellow man, it's really important to see that while each of our life experiences are valid because we lived them, we can't put our expectations for how people should and shouldn't live their lives based off our life experiences, our values, our wants, our needs, our dreams, because everybody's is different. And especially when you're talking about things like going to college, there was a time where college was legitimately affordable for everyone versus what somebody paid for an entire year of school wouldn't even cover one class and books in college today. So if you still have that narrow mind where, well, why are they saying college is expensive? Like, if you honestly have no idea how much it costs today, then you kind of need to do some research about that. Or even buying a house. Like, and I know that there is the argument that people made less and people make more now and all that, but still, it's like, just because it was easy for somebody to do something doesn't mean that an extended amount of time later, or even a short amount of time later, that it's going to be the same experience. And this can be for all sorts of different things, because people also like to gaslight each other. Some of it is on purpose and some of it is not on purpose, and I do recognize that. But I can't tell you how many situations that I have observed. I wasn't directly involved, but you go to a party or whatever, or even like read comments and on social media posts, and somebody will talk about their horrible birthing experience, like near-death birthing experience, that the nurses and the doctors were neglectful and not listening to them, and or even any other medical situation where it was like, I was saying that this was wrong with me and they kept like not listening, not taking me seriously. And then other people were like, well, that wasn't my experience, and I had a similar issue, but I was taken seriously right away, and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, well, that's great for you, but that doesn't mean that's everybody's experience. Like, it's not going to be the same for everybody. And that's why we have to hear people out. We have to hear what they're saying. And I also have met people where they talked about an experience, and to be honest, it sounded fake. But it's not my place to say that. Do you know what I mean? Like, and I'm going to say, like, there has been situations I've been in where people talked about an experience, and I knew for certain that it wasn't all true. But again, it's not for me to say. I'm not going to argue with somebody about their experience. If they feel like they need to lie to elevate the situation or to get sympathy or whatever, that's not for me to say that they're doing. That's not for me to point out. Maybe just don't be friends with that person, like if you're considering having that person in your life. But just remember, you have to see beyond yourself for the greater good. You have to see beyond your life experiences. We really need to stop victim blaming. We really need to stop thinking that people cause their own like every problem everybody has is caused by their themselves. And it's like, no, there are certain people in society that are treated differently than maybe what you are treated. And if you don't understand that, then you're in the category of being treated well. But there are people that are not treated well for a variety of reasons. And so I'm encouraging you guys to look beyond yourself and look beyond your experience, because when you're talking to somebody and it's clear that you think your way is the only way, or your life experience is everybody's life experience, and why can't, if people just jumped on this train, they'd have the exact same life experience. That's not true at all. There's no way that if I followed everything that you did, like linked arms with you and just followed you through life, our life experiences would still be different. I've even heard of stories where siblings grew up in the exact same household, had the exact same parents, were not even that far in age, and one thought that their childhood was awesome, and the other one thought that their childhood was terrible and abusive. So how do you account for that? Like, obviously the one really thinks that's what's happened, and the other one honestly really thinks that's what happened. But both can be true. Again, it's how you experienced it, because they can't both be lying. So again, see beyond yourself and see beyond your life experience, and I think the world would be a much better place. Okay guys, thank you so much for watching. Please consider subscribing to my channel, and until next time, bye.